I am the firstborn child of my parents. They fell in love with me as soon as they laid their eyes on me. They were happy and fulfilled. But little did they know that just one word from a doctor visiting around the neighborhood would change their whole lives forever. The doctor said, "Your child is a dwarf." I am humbled to be here alongside these wonderful people who will share who will share such a great life stories. And I'm very grateful that at this moment I have the safe space to share with you who I am and my life story. But before that, I want to ask all of you a question. What's the first thing that came to your mind when you first saw me? Hold that thought for 5 seconds. Now let me begin my story. I honestly could not count how many times I have written the timeline of my life anymore. I have always struggled knowing where to start. I have always asked my mom infinite details, and every time we have this conversation, I could see a little sadness, but also bravery in her eyes. I am the firstborn child of my parents. They fell in love with me as soon as they laid their eyes on me. They were happy and fulfilled. But little did they know that just one word from a doctor visiting around the neighborhood would change their whole lives forever. The doctor said, "Your child is a dwarf." Yes, I have been diagnosed with achondroplasia only after 14 months. For those of you who do not know, achondroplasia is a common type of dwarfism. It is a genetic condition that affects about 1 in 15,000 to 1 in 40,000 people. My parents were clueless back then. They just thought that I was a small and cute baby. Fast forward to today, my condition was the main reason why my mom sacrificed her notable career in the Philippines, just for her to take the whole family to Canada because she knew that our lives would be better. Growing up, I've always wanted to live somewhere else other than my birth country. I guess part of me did not feel safe. Part of me knew that I wouldn't have a chance of life if I stayed there. The Philippines is an incredible country, don't get me wrong, but its technology and its government efforts are pretty darn slow, especially if we're talking about supporting someone like me. In 2014, Canada opened its heart for me and my family. It is what I call my home now. But not until I started working around the community did I feel safe that I am where I belong. Currently, I am a youth settlement worker here at Mount Pleasant Neighbourhood House. And I have been working with newcomer teenagers for 1.5 years now. I only felt that I am where I am supposed to be after 6 years of living in East Vancouver. I never expected to enjoy working with teenagers. To be honest, I have always been afraid of this age group because growing up, I would always see them staring at me while they hold up their laughter until I pass by them. I really don't know why a lot of them react like that whenever they see me. It does not feel good when you know people are laughing at you or behind you. And to tell you the truth, this happens until now, not just teenagers. I'm just less afraid to face them. I am very lucky though. Our newcomer teenagers, our participants, although very playful, they are kind and unpretentious. They respect me as their youth worker, and they teach me a lot about life. Now, going back to the part why it took almost 6 years or so before I felt that I belong in my community, East Vancouver. Not until recently did I want to create changes in the state of our surroundings and how establishments operate. Have you ever had any difficulty crossing a street? Do you ever get scared when the walking pedestrian signal starts counting? Imagine you have short legs and you have to cross the street. Or how about this? Imagine you are a person with vision impairment, or someone who uses a wheelchair. Or maybe you are just extremely terrified of crossing the street because you have experienced a traumatic event. People do not really think about these things when it comes to crossing streets. As for me, I panic a little if I know I cannot cross in time. So I always wait until the next walking pedestrian signal restarts. What can we do to change that? Do you know where my favorite theater in Vancouver is? It's at Cineplex Marine Gateway. If you ask me why, I would simply tell you because I love their washrooms. No kidding, I really do. I do love their washrooms because they have a sink built for kids. A sink I can reach, both its soap dispenser and the faucet itself. A lot of our establishments here in Vancouver do not have sinks and paper towel dispensers that are accessible to someone with short stature or maybe someone using a wheelchair. A lot of the times, my clothes will get wet from the countertop because I try so hard to reach the sink. I feel powerless. Because of this, I just want to wash my hands. Wouldn't it be so nice if all establishments could provide a step stool if they couldn't build their washrooms accessible to everyone? I challenge all the managers, business owners, and maybe engineers in this room. Make your establishments kinder and more accessible to everyone. Okay, before I wrap up my rants, I want to share with you a scene in a movie I watched a couple of years ago. The movie itself was okay, but this scene broke my heart but opened my mind altogether. It's from a movie called Enola Holmes, starring Millie Bobby Brown as Enola and Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes. The scene was between Sherlock, the detective, and Edith, who owns a respectable tea house, but in reality is just a front for a female martial arts academy. Edith asked the famous detective why he is this interested in politics. It goes like this, and excuse me for my British accent. Edith, you haven't any hope of understanding any of this, you know that. Educate me as to why. Because you don't know what it is to be without power. Politics doesn't interest you. Why? Because it's fatally boring. Because you have no interest in changing a world that suits you well. Mind blown. It left me weeping after that scene because it's so true. It hit me hard because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. In order for me to make a change in our society, I should be the voice of the voiceless. I am a woman, disabled, and a person of color. I am more than my sex, my ability, and my race. Now I am asking you again, what's the first thing that came to your mind when you saw me? Thank you for coming to my TED Talk and have a wonderful night.